Now, as you can imagine, Scaramouche kinda wanted the noses, like a little bit. So he instantly jumps out of the robot and dives after the noses, fully knowing that the impact of the ground could shatter his entire body and maybe even kill him. Hello, my name is Will and I am a massive Scaramouche fan, as you may have noticed due to all of the Scaramouche content I made. And so naturally I wondered what would have happened if he actually managed to beat the Traveler, Dottore, and Nahida, which is exactly what we will be talking about today. Everything started with the idea for the drawing that you see me making in the background. I had this cool concept in mind of him sitting on a throne, like just being an absolute scrunkly little guy, except he's a god now. So as all YouTubers do, I thought, hey, I could make a video out of this. I originally wanted to only write down a couple ideas for this AU, which I dubbed Scara Ascendance AU by the way, so that I had something to talk about for the video. It literally wasn't even supposed to be the main part of the video. I kinda had to force myself to even start, but then I slowly got rolling, started snowballing, and then I was going down the lower hill at like 300 miles per hour. Right into the rabbit hole, going, oh shit, I hope this video won't be too long. So yeah, here we are. I thought about how I could deviate from the canon story. However, this is all just based on my own perception of the game. Okay, now here comes the first important thing, okay? The most important thing about this AU that makes this AU so great, and why this AU is literally the best AU that ever existed in Genshin AUs. Paimon doesn't exist. And I know there are some people out there who really love Paimon for some reason. I think she's annoying. Maybe it's because of the English dub, maybe it's not, I don't know. But yeah, I really needed this in my life, so Paimon just doesn't exist in this AU. Don't ask about her, I didn't want her there. I felt like she would make things not serious anymore, and so she just doesn't exist anymore. Basically, the AU starts at the scene where the Traveler first faces Shouki no Kami, aka the Scara boss, and Nahida gives the Traveler the title of First Sage of Buer. Scaramouche battles the Traveler and Nahida, and the Traveler gets heavily wounded, which is why Nahida asks him to retreat. Nahida manages to put the robot in some sort of stasis, quote-unquote wins, and takes the Electro-Gnosis. Meanwhile, Scara struggles to get out of the robot to reach for it, but he's trapped and can't get out. Nahida and Dottore meet in the sanctuary to make the deal. However, they get interrupted, which means that the Dottore segment still exists since the deal didn't happen. Another big deviation is that the scene where Nahida is like repairing the ley line doesn't happen until later, but you will see why. Scara, who at that point is still inside the robot, basically had a breakdown, but he eventually manages to collect himself and absolutely pushes to his limits to make use of the dense electro energy that's still inside the robot. He then literally crashes the robot into the sanctuary of Svrstana, heavily wounding Dottore and knocking him unconscious, while only slightly wounding Nahida. Because of the impact, Nahida let go of the Electro-Gnosis and it rolls to the edge of the platform before it tips over and falls to the ground. Now, as you can imagine, Scaramouche kinda wanted the noses, like a little bit, like a tiny little bit, so he instantly jumps out of the robot and dives after the noses, fully knowing that the impact of the ground could shatter his entire body and maybe even kill him. But he grabs a hold of it last second. Suddenly, a purple light shines from the bottom of the sanctuary as a figure arises from the dust. He's surrounded by lightning, and his eyes shine bright, but his physical form is shattered. The cracks are glowing, and slowly heal, and this is kind of where he still somewhat gets reborn in this AU, because this is when he essentially gets the drip that he's wearing in my artwork. Scaramouche, or as he would now be called, Kunikuzushi, doesn't even spare Nahida a single glance, as he says. So this is what real power feels like. Nahida tries to talk to him, but Scara is out to get her. He knows if he doesn't subdue her now, he will not get a second chance. The Traveler, who has been hiding in the sanctuary because he was sus of Dottore, like, let's be real, Dottore is really sus, tries to help Nahida even though he's weakened. Scara plays dirty, goes for a killing blow on the Traveler, which Nahida tries to deflect, but instead Scara reaches into her chest and steals her gnosis. After that, Nahida gives herself up in order to save the Traveler's life, to which I wrote down a response that Scaramouche would have to the Traveler in this scenario, which is, once again you escaped your inevitable fate, your luck is bound to run out sooner or later, which I think is fairly in character for him. He's just ready to beat the Traveler's ass. The Traveler leaves after Nahida reassures him, and Scara traps Nahida and Dottore inside the Fatui factory, which he seals off. Scara is a little upset by Dottore abandoning him, but he already expected it to happen. After all, humans, or even segments of them, only view things in transactions, and Scara had seemingly not been able to keep up the bargain of becoming a god, or a successful experiment. While in prison, Nahida is trying to talk and reason with Scara. She understands that he's in distress, and while she doesn't like him or what he did, she knows that there's more to it, but he keeps pushing her off. Scara manages to get the sages more or less on his side using the common strategy of I'm powerful, bow or you will die. They didn't really want to accept him because they heard of what happened to Dottore and their plan to control him, but you know, what can you do against a god? Essentially, Scara makes them think he killed Nahida because of the second gnosis as well. Then he arranges his first public appearance in the ruins of the sanctuary, which I guess kind of stands for him destroying the flawed god and her legacy. The academia officially supports him, although many scholars are skeptical and the general population is rightfully unsure what to think. He then has the very famous line that was definitely not made for the Scara Sims: bow your heads. And Hypatia is there and she's very happy about it. First to fall to his feet, after which the people reluctantly join her, mostly because they're intimidated. And Scara knows he doesn't have their loyalty yet, because he hasn't offered them anything so far. And according to his worldview, if you don't have anything to offer, people will abandon you. Every time. He reduces the academia's power and allows Nahida to repair the ley lines, during which Nahida tries to escape but gets overpowered. He then propagates that the resulting disappearance of Elazar was his doing. Sometime later, Nahida learns of Dottore's memories of Tatarasuna. I haven't figured out how yet, but it will happen. And forms a plan to win Scara's trust, so he will give her the chance to show him the memories and for him to actually believe her. Once that happens, while Scara goes through these memories, she escapes. Scara, who is very confused after finding out all of his life was a lie, tries to find out more about his past to verify that this all was really true, and goes to Tenshukaku. A knew he was coming and immediately engages him in battle, but not with bad intentions. You will see in a moment. Scara therefore thinks that it's just a shogun and A not watching at the moment, and he yells at her how he knew A never really cared, etc, etc. And from there are actually two options that I considered, which is either Scara wins the fight or Scara loses the fight. And feel free to pick whatever you guys prefer, but I will tell you about both. It's kind of similar what happens, but with a different vibe in a way. Okay, so Scara wins. A is beat, her sword flying away. She lands on the ground and a single tear runs down her cheek. She realizes how her actions have led to this being, her creation, turning out so bitter. Scara has his blade at her throat, staring at her as if he wasn't quite sure what's going on. A then says, "Only in battle can you see someone's true emotions. You deserve better." So, dysfunctional Electro family. And then the second scenario, which is Scara loses. A finds a weakness in Scara's defense that was exposed due to him being an angry mess. Scara is beat, falling to the ground disarmed. He's stunned. A has her spear to Scara's throat. A single tear rolls down her cheek. Only in battle can you see someone's true emotions. You deserved better. So yeah, as you can see, pretty much kind of the same outcome-ish. It's just like slightly different. The emotional vibe is slightly different. And yeah, that's all that I wrote down for now. I wrote all of this down in like an hour. It all spewed out of my brain like crazy. So yeah, that was what I think would have happened if Scara actually managed to beat Dottore and Nahida and become a real god. What do you guys think? What do you think would have happened? Regardless of whether it's related to my AU or not, just let me know. I'm curious what you guys think. Maybe you guys even have additions to this AU. I would absolutely love to know about it, so do leave a comment. Honestly, this is my absolute favorite artwork of 2022. It was the very last one I made that year, and I'm just very proud of it. It's beautiful, and I didn't try to make it perfect, which funnily enough made it more perfect than it would have ever been if I had pressured myself. Because this was originally supposed to be like a sketch with maybe line art and grayscale colors, like really basic shading, but well, you see what happened. It turned out just as a fully rendered, finished artwork, and I couldn't be happier with it, to be honest. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, leave a dislike if you didn't for whatever reason. Subscribe, turn on the bell notification if you don't want to miss new videos. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter if you want to see more of my artworks, and you can also join our Discord server. Thank you guys so much for your support. Will out.